you might think that an interesting book about statistics is an oxymoron, but David Hand, who is a statistician, has managed to pull this off with his book, Dark Data. He's made a really interesting book, an engaging book about statistics. I'm not a huge fan of stats myself. It's something that I feel I need to know more about, given the work that I do. But honestly, I'm not super into it. Yet, I was very into this particular book. So Hand takes us through a number of different ways that data can manipulate us. We often don't have all the data that we need to understand a situation. Sometimes data can contain bias. Sometimes data can be used in ways that discriminate against people. It's all of the kinds of things that we talk about, that I talk about in the work of AI ethics. And Hand just manages to unpack these things one by one and really explain them thoroughly from a statistician's viewpoint. So a couple of examples that really struck me about this book, different kinds of statistical phenomena that I wasn't familiar with. One is Simpson's paradox. And Simpson's paradox is this idea that if we aggregate data, it looks one way, statistically speaking, and if we disaggregate it, it looks totally different. And so he unpacks this really popular example from the University of California, Berkeley. This is back in the 70s. And it looked like they were discriminating against women when it came to admissions, because in the year that was looked at, 44% of male applicants got into the university, while only 35% of female applicants got in. But once the data was disaggregated, it told a totally different story. So if we looked at the data by department, we found that it actually wasn't necessarily discriminating against women in that particular way, though I would argue there are probably some societal factors at play here as well, but we won't go too far down that pathway. The other story that really struck me, the other law, is Twyman's law. And this is a law that says if something's outrageous, if something looks kind of like an outlier, it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And I think this is an important thing to know about statistics, because those are the exact kind of results that tend to get a lot of media headlines, a lot of attention. Sometimes they get published in academic journals. And so those are the kinds of statistical things that we tend to remember. And yet those are the very things that might not be true. So Dark Data by David Hand, a really great read about statistics for people who don't like statistics.